Hey, how's everybody doing? So it's now Sunday, May 24 weekend, 2023, and my garden plot just finished getting tilled, so I'm gonna get to work. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start measuring out garden beds and pathways. So we're doing 30-inch wide beds, just like a market style garden, and 14-inch pathways. So I've got some jigs made for that, and I'll show you what we're doing. So this is what we're working with. Here's my jigs. We have a 30-inch, that's for the beds. We have a 14-inch, that's for the pathways. So now I don't have to mess around with measuring it out with a tape measure. I'm literally going to be able to lay this down on the ground, put a pin here, run it to the other side, measure it out 30 inches, put a pin, measure it out on the other side, and just run string line. And then I'll measure my pathway with this one, and then I'm going to run a string line, and then all I'm going to do is take my shovel, dig the pathway onto the bed, and then once that's all done, I'll be raking all of that out. So he just ran the cultivator up and down a whole bunch of times, so he's loosened all of this up, right? So my garden goes from that water post to that. It's 40 feet by, I think it's supposed to be about 18 feet. We'll have a final measurement when I get it all graded out, but that's what we're working with. It's 2:30 in the afternoon. I was hoping to have this started yesterday, but Mike, the guy that runs the show here, he's a one-man machine, and there's only so much he can do. So I'm gonna start, and you guys can kind of follow along. What I've done is I've already marked out my rows and pathways. See the pins? There's a 30-inch bed, and here's a 14-inch pathway, and a 30-inch bed, and a 14-inch pathway, and so on and so forth. And now I got to figure out what I'm going to do here, because that's my last bed, and you can see it's only 16 inches wide, and that's where I was going to put my tomatoes. So, and that runs up till here. Now, I mean, the tomatoes don't need a super wide bed because it's only going to be tomatoes. And then this space right here where you see the flowers, that's the water line. See? The water line runs up through that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pull these pins over here because I don't need them just yet. And I'm going to match these first couple of pins on the other side at the end of my bed, and then I'm going to run string line with that big roll of baling twine I have there, and then I'm going to start digging out pathways and flipping them onto the beds. And then once I have those dug out 14 inches wide, which is roughly the width of my rake, then I'll start eventually pulling all the weeds off the top of the bed. So that's the plan. So we got the first bed and first pathway marked out all the way up there. So I don't want to walk on this soil very much. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my shovel and excavate that walkway, I don't know, 8 inches deep or whatever. I'm going to throw the material to here. Okay? All right. So like we said, we're going to dig out the trench for the pathway and pile it on there. So you guys have a scale of depth. We're about 8 inches deep below the top of the bed now. So now all I have to do is repeat this like 9 more times. And what I'm doing is, as I go, I'm digging the trench, I'm piling the material here, and I'm taking all the weeds out, like you can see, because you use the cultivator, right? So it pulls a lot of them up to the surface. So I'm just throwing them out as I go. But as I move over, I won't be able to do that. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do with all those weeds as I move my way through the pathway, because I don't want to throw them someplace and then I have to collect them again. I do have my bucket with a bunch of materials in it, so I might just dump that bucket out and carry it along with me and just stuff it with weeds. Then I won't have to do the work like 4 times. All right, so I'm gonna get back to this and I'll update you just as I go. Well, it's the end of day 1. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beds done, 5 pathways done, 5 beds weeded, mound of weeds, mound of weeds, mound of weeds, and that fantastic gentleman right there tilled up this section for me because the cultivator didn't catch it very well, and he's going to do the other side of my garden for me, which is really going to help because, as you can see, it's just oodles of weeds. So this took me 3.5 hours or so, and I'm packing it in because I'm done, and we'll be back tomorrow bright and early. So garden season 2023, day 1 over and done. If you guys aren't subscribed, smash that subscribe button and that notification bell, and you guys can follow what we're going to do in this 1,600 square feet of garden this year. I'm going to top 3,000 pounds of food. That's my goal. I didn't make it last year. We're doing it this year. All right, guys. See ya.